After an election night that ended in uncertainty, one thing was agreed upon. The polling stunk again.
The polling was wrong. It was wrong again, even worse than it was in 2016.
Polling was awful.
How bad was the polling, you ask? Let's start in Maine with Senator Susan Collins, who was running for re-election. Not one poll, all the way up to Election Day, had her winning and retaining her seat. She won by 9 points. It wasn't close. Because of the polls, Democrats across the country expected a blue wave to take Joe Biden into the White House and take control there, to take control of the Senate by picking up 4 seats, and to add more seats to the House of Representatives that they already controlled. They ended up losing seats in the House. It doesn't look like they're going to take the Senate. And the race for the White House is one of the closest in history and may be decided by the Supreme Court. The blue wave turned out to be a blue drip. But I can understand why Democrats were excited. For instance, an ABC poll released just before election night showed that Biden was supposed to win Wisconsin by 17 points. Now, Biden did win the state, it turns out, by 20,000 votes, or less than 1%. In the key swing state of Florida with 29 electoral votes, the New York Times had Joe Biden up 3 in its final poll right before election night. Instead, Donald Trump won by 3 points. All of the major newspaper polls, all of the major university polls, all of the network polls were inexplicably wrong.
Well, how do you explain CNN having a 12-point margin for Joe Biden, which will be nowhere near that when all the votes are counted? Even the most optimistic people on Biden's side say it'll be less than half that. That's not within the margin of error. That's simply being wrong.
So why were they so wrong? There are 3 possible reasons. The first in the polling biz is called social desirability bias. It's where a respondent won't admit that they want to vote for Donald Trump, for instance, because that's not a popular choice in their social circle. You may have heard of those voters called shy Trump voters during this election cycle. Also, Trump supporters like Donald Trump himself are distrustful of institutions like the media that conducts many of these polls, so they refuse to participate, which throws off the sample. And finally, just like political bias has infected the media, the courts, and institutions of higher education, it's also infected polling. There shouldn't be Democratic-leaning polls or Republican-leaning polls, and yet there are. The pollsters get the results they want by manipulating the formula and including either more Democrats or more Republicans in the survey. But now pollsters are worried after blowing 2 presidential elections in a row. For instance, Nate Silver, who has become very popular and uses polls to analyze elections, predicted that the Democrats would take the White House and they would take the Senate. And now the mob on social media wants him gone. That's why you're going to hear a lot from pollsters after blowing the 2016 election and now the 2020 election. They promise they're going to get it right next time. This seems like a good time to quote someone who knows horror stories well. Novelist Stephen King once said, "Fool me 3 times, shame on both of us." I'm Larry Mendte. We'll talk again soon.